Hola, señorita! Welcome back to my vlog. So, ang vlog po natin ay about sa Fundamental of Labor Law by Jacob P. Atienza. So, ang naka-assign po sa akin ngayong report ay page 139 to 140. So, see you guys! For a union member to suffer the consequences of a loss of employment, he must have knowingly participated in the commission of illegal act during the strict such as assault, infliction of physical injuries, etc. Failing to heed the order of an office superior not to join the picket line is not such an illegal act. Membership in a union does not ipso facto means participation in a strict such as participation and intersegments to return to work order must be duly provided to justify immediate dismissal in a national interest case. The liability become collective if the use of force during the strike was whispered and pervasive, constantly and deliberately restored to as a matter of union policy. Authorities of rapid such act after actual knowledge thereof. In the latter case, the collective nature of the liability for the Violence Act rendered the strict illegal, still only the person clearly identified as having employed violence are punished by dismissal. And isolated act of violence committed by individual member without the sanction of the union and minor disorders that mars an otherwise peaceful strike do not make the strike illegal, and the strike officer and member of the union are deemed to have lost their employment status for having knowledgeably participated in illegal act where it was declared after the issuance by the Secretary of Assumption or certification order which automatically enjoyed the interest trick or had become the subject of preventive mediation proceeding before the NCMB. Of a return to work order which is necessary consequence of or is inflict in an assumption or certification order may result of forfeiture of employment, of labor and employment committed to grave abuse of description when he ordered the reinstatement of striking union members who refused to report back for work after he had issued to return to work order. The Supreme Court gave the reason for the principles and its decision in the consolidated case of Sarmiento and Asian Transmission Corporation. The work order, it said, does not so much as confers as a right as it's imposed a duty, and while the right may be waived, the duty must be discharged even against the worker's will. Return to work is not a matter of opinion or voluntary but of obligation. The principle, however, is not without exception in the case of Philippine Airline INC versus Brillantes. Court invoke its juridical prerogative to resolve dispute in a way to render to each interested party the most judicious solution and in the ultimate seem a resolution of a dispute tending to serve the greater order of society, ruled that the penalty of suspension by the Secretary of Labor and Employment was sufficient and did not impose the capital punishment of dismissal from office. Notwithstanding the law's sanction for such a consequence, the reason given was although the strike was illegal and there was a deficiency of the secretaries. Sean Paul terminated in March the employment of 183 union officers and members of Palea. However, in the absence of exceptional circumstances such as those described in the Fall versus Brillante, the general rules as laid down in the case of Federation of Free Workers St. Scholastica College and other is that a strike that is under despite the issuance of assumption of certification order is a prohibited act, and those illegal the union officer and member consequently and deemed to have lost their employment status for having knowingly participated in an illegal act. Differently from the moment of worker faced as a return to work order, he is deemed to have abandoned his job. The loss of employment status results from the employee's own act, an act which is illegal, and act in